Guys, it's the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you an interesting coaster countdown of the top 15 hypercoasters in the USA. This is my opinion of which hypercoasters in the country are the best. But there are a few hypercoasters that aren't on this list, like Magnum XL 200 or Desperado, but this is still sure to be a good countdown. Number 15 is Mamba at Worlds of Fun. Of the three Morgan hypercoasters in places 15 through 13, I think this one has the worst layout. Number 14 is Steel Force at Dorney Park. This is another good Morgan hypercoaster with some good airtime. Yeah, it's your traditional Morgan hypercoaster. Number 13 is Wild Thing at Valley Fair. This is another Morgan hypercoaster. I think it's the best Morgan hypercoaster. It has a good tunnel element, an awesome drop, some good airtime compared to the other two Morgan hypers, and this is a very good coaster. The best at Valley Fair, in my opinion. Number 12 is Superman Ride of Steel and Ride of Steel at Six Flags America and Darien Lake. These are both the same ride. They have a few good airtime moments, but then the rest of the ride basically is a bunch of helixes. There are two large double helixes, so yeah. Number 11 are Titan and Goliath at Six Flags Magic Mountain and Six Flags Over Texas. These are two hypercoasters made by Guile Van Ola. But the lack of airtime is one thing that makes me mad about these rides, but these rides still are very intense and very fun. Number 10 is Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. This is another coaster named Goliath, and this is a good B&M hyper. I just ranked it lower because I don't know too much about it, but it has a fun layout, but not my favorite B&M hyper layout. Number 9 is Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. This is a bit better than Goliath because of the theming it has, like about sharks and the sharks realm, stuff like that. But this looks like a very picturesque B&M hyper. It goes over the lake, has some awesome airtime moments, and it has a pretty similar layout to Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Number 8 is Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This is an awesome B&M hyper. It's the original B&M hyper and has some good airtime hills. This coaster may only be 170 feet tall, but the drop is 210 feet, which is the reason why it's on this list. This is the original B&M hyper. It has a good color scheme, and the airtime is relentless. It's a good terrain coaster. Yeah. Number 7 is Skyrush at Hershey Park. A lot of people will probably disagree with me on this. Like, oh, Skyrush should be like top 3 hypercoasters in the USA, stuff like that. But I ranked Skyrush number 7 because it doesn't really look as intense as people say it looks. In the POV I saw, it didn't look too intense. Well, obviously it looked more intense than B&M hypers, but it looked pretty short. The ride is just too short. Number 6 is Raging Bull at Six Flags Great America. I personally really like this ride. The pre-drop, there's a pre-drop, an awesome drop, but this ride is kind of lacking airtime, but the airtime you get on this ride is very good. You get a few really good airtime moments, and yeah. Now, let's get to the top 5. Number 5 is Intimidator at Carowinds. This is the coaster with the king. This is like the king of airtime. It's airtime hill after airtime hill on this ride, and it's relentless. And it's themed to the Intimidator Daryl Earnhardt. Number 4 is Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. This coaster actually has a similar layout to Mako at SeaWorld Orlando, being built for 2016. And this coaster has some good airtime hills, some good turns. Yeah, it's a fun B&M hyper overall. Number 3 is Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. This coaster was formerly Superman Ride of Steel and Bizarro. I think this coaster will have some good theming in 2016. This coaster has some good floater airtime, ejector airtime, an awesome spaghetti-like section. This is an awesome Intimate Hyper. Number 2 is the Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. This may be the smallest hypercoaster in height, but this coaster is one of the fastest on this list, going at speeds of 85 miles an hour. Now you can see here, this is the first drop here, the curve drop, and then this hill here takes you to the second drop, which is bigger than the first, and it's about 230 feet long, so that's why this roller coaster is considered a hypercoaster. And the air time is insane, and this is just an insane, intense ride. And number 1 is Diamondback at Kings Island. I consider this the best hypercoaster in the USA. The drop is fun, the air time is awesome, there's a water splashdown, brakes, yeah, and this coaster is themed to a rattlesnake. This is an awesome coaster. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.